The body of Robert Card in Lisbon. He is dead.
Tonight at 11 on the North States News, the people of Lewiston, Maine can now breathe a sigh of relief, where law enforcement found the suspected mass shooter dead. Then, a high-speed chase in Fortuna, why his truck was the reason he was caught. And finally, it's Halloween weekend. More on the spooktacular events on the North Coast. All that and more starts right now.
Live, local, breaking, news you can trust. This is the North States News at 10.
Like many people, I'm breathing a sigh of relief tonight, knowing that Robert Card is no longer a threat to anyone. I know there are some people, and many people, who share that sentiment, but I also know that his death may not bring solace to many. But now is a time to heal. And with this search concluded, I know that law enforcement continues to fully investigate all the facts so we can bring what closure we can to the victims and their families.
The days-long manhunt for the suspected Maine mass shooter is over. The suspect has been found dead of an apparent self-inflicted gunshot wound. Hello again, North State. I'm Sam Chimenti.
I'm very happy to be here and very happy to say the threat is over.
Police in Maine calling a press conference to announce that 40-year-old Robert Card's body was found Friday night in Lisbon Falls, near the river where they'd been searching. They're releasing few other details tonight, but promise to divulge more at a news conference tomorrow morning. Card's death does not bring an end to this investigation. A motive for the shootings that left 18 people dead and 13 wounded is still unknown. We're looking at the photos of all the victims here. The Maine Department of Public Safety released these images earlier today. The victims range in age from 76 to 14. Card is an Army Reserve who reported mental health issues in the past. Just a few days ago, the Senate approved an amendment that would make it easier for veterans with mental illness to bypass background checks when buying weapons. The measure is attached to a package of annual spending bills that has not passed the Senate yet, but could do so next week. 3 Democrats joined Republicans in supporting the amendment, as did independent Senators Angus King and Kristen Sinema, who caucus with Democrats. We're bringing you some breaking news tonight. Law enforcement is currently at El Rio Estates in Anderson. Our chief photographer, Adam McAllister, currently at the scene. The Anderson Police Department was reportedly conducting a search with long rifles. Crime tape is still surrounding the area. We don't have any confirmed information as to what exactly happened or who was involved, but we will keep you updated on air and online on krcrtv.com as we learn more. Out on the North Coast now, Fortuna Police and Humboldt County Sheriff's deputies arrested a man last night following a short pursuit. According to Fortuna PD, deputies spotted 34-year-old Clayton Miller driving in a suspicious vehicle along Highway 101. He reportedly drove into oncoming traffic to escape deputies, but eventually his truck broke down. He was then surrounded and arrested with the help of a canine. He's been charged with fleeing from police, burglary, and illegal possession of tear gas. If you saw a crash that happened last night near Oroville, the CHP would like to talk with you. It happened just before 7 on Highway 162, where an SUV trying to turn onto Apika Avenue and a motorcycle collided. The motorcyclist has major injuries and is listed as stable in the hospital now. If you saw anything or in that area, call Highway Patrol at 530-332-1200. Deputies in Siskiyou County arrested a pair of U-Haul drivers who were allegedly driving with marijuana in their trucks. The sheriff's office says both arrests happened within 20 minutes of each other off I-5 in Wairika. Both U-Hauls were pulled over after driving erratically, and both U-Hauls were promptly searched, reportedly revealing 1 ton of cut marijuana plants. The drivers were allegedly transporting the weed out of Oregon, and they've been arrested for illegal transport of cannabis. Bringing it back to Shasta County, this is a live look outside our studio at Highway 44 as you come into downtown Reading. Cleared out, people home on their Friday nights. It's chilly Friday night. And let's go ahead and head over to the Weather Center now. First Alert meteorologist Brian Schofield standing by. Brian, it's cold outside, so people might not realize that we are actually going to be, or are in currently, a red flag warning. There is fire risk, even when the temperatures are like this.
Yeah, we've got to do double duty in weather this time around because we've got a red flag warning, expecting stronger winds, help to continue to dry out the air. That means low relative humidity, and that's this weekend, all weekend long. That's really when it starts. 30 to 50 mile an hour gusts. Yeah, that's some strong gusts if we get that 50 mile an hour end. And we're also dealing with very cold temperatures. And since we simulcast on the North Coast, got to show off these freeze warnings for interior Humboldt, western Siskiyou, interior Mendocino, and all along the coast down through Mendocino, we're talking about frost advisories. So we've got the cold, we've got the wind coming in. What's happening right now? It's all about the cold first, then the wind shows up later on. If the wind were showing up now, those overnight lows might come up enough to keep some of those freeze warnings out of the picture. But these temperatures look cold enough to me, I'll tell you that. 37 Red Bluff, 39 in Redding, 40 in Chico, and 20s for the upper elevations. Keep that in mind. Tomorrow night will be another chilly night, but actually the next few days we're going to warm things up. But coming up, we'll show you the wind and who gets it the hardest, because it will be strong in various areas across the valley. I'll give you the timing of that in your first alert forecast just ahead.
Thank you, Brian. And with that dry weather for now, sticking around through the Halloween weekend, there are dozens of ways to go celebrate out on the North Coast. The North States News' Sophie Lincoln checked out some of those various activities happening this weekend. Here's her report.
In typical North Coast fashion, the days leading up to Halloween are packed with spooky and family-friendly events. Among those festivities is Eureka's Great Pumpkin Hunt, where families have 5 days to locate 19 unique decorated pumpkins in the storefront windows of various local businesses.
It's fun. The businesses get to get creative, and it is really fun to see all the different designs that they come up with.
To participate in the hunt, families can go to the Eureka Visitor Center in Old Town to get an entry form. Then, after finding all of the pumpkins, participants can return the forms to the visitor center and be rewarded with a special treat.
And then on Saturday, we have a trick or treat in downtown in Old Town at 39 participating businesses.
Trick-or-treaters participating in Saturday's event are invited to download a map to all of the participating businesses, which is available online. Similarly, the Arcata Chamber of Commerce is hosting its own trick-or-treat event at the Arcata Plaza on Tuesday for Halloween. In Ferndale, Griffin Lock's Screamatorium is putting on its 3 haunted mazes at the Humboldt County Fairgrounds on Friday, Saturday, and Tuesday. Also, there will be a special spooktacular Halloween Family Festival on Sunday.
There's the 3 haunted mazes. There's a lot of the food trucks from the local area, which is very exciting. And then a lot of bands, as I mentioned.
That was Sophie Lincoln reporting. For more information on the specific events she just mentioned, you can visit our website. Dia de los Muertos, just a few days away, and one Tehama County school is planning to celebrate through their dual language immersion program. This Wednesday, November 1st, Gerber Elementary School will host their Dia de los Muertos celebration across campus. Gerber is still in its first year of their dual language program. They're actually the first school in Tehama County to do this.
Not only did you all help him, but you literally saved his life.
Yeah, I guess if you look at it that way, I don't think he would have lasted much longer out here, that's for sure.
A miracle rescue off the coast. One of 2 missing fishermen spotted alive. How a group of friends helped to get him to safety after 13 days lost at sea. That's coming up next. Stick around. The coast of Washington State, one of 2 missing fishermen who were aboard a vessel that disappeared in mid-October was found alive by a couple of Good Samaritans on Thursday. Madison Wade has this story.
A bright orange fleck bobbing on the horizon alerted a passing fishing boat. Someone might need help.
Yeah, I just saw something that looked like a life raft in the distance, and I see him waving his paddle around. And then he shot off a flare.
Ryan and his uncle John were out early with friends on a fishing excursion that turned into a rescue mission.
It was flat calm, so you could see him. He had his last flare. He lit it there. We'd already seen him by then, though.
When they got closer, they snapped this picture. The man inside that raft is a missing fisherman from Westport.
We pulled him on board, and he was just overwhelmed. Like, he gave me a big hug and started crying, so it was kind of emotional.
John says he was alone on the raft for 13 days. No food or water.
Yeah, he caught a salmon, he said. But the fishing gear that they have in the life raft, It's great to start it.
It was fate or divine intervention that sent John to the exact spot where the life raft was.
We made a breakfast, got some food, water in them. I think he drank 3 bowls of water right away. He ate a couple of sandwiches. He was pretty hungry, the poor guy.
The U.S. Coast Guard initially searched, but eventually called off their search.
How he even lived through it was a miracle.
Help then arrived for the fishermen they found. The Canadian Coast Guard met up with John's boat to take the fishermen to the hospital.
There you go, buddy. Thanks a lot, guys.
With a wave and a thank you goodbye, their rescue mission is over. A life once lost at sea, saved.
It made our day.
Not only did you all help him, but you literally saved his life.
Yeah, I guess if you look at it that way, I don't think he would have lasted much longer out here, that's for sure.
That was Madison Wade reporting. The second fisherman, who was aboard vessel, remains missing. It's time for big stories making local impacts. California Governor Gavin Newsom has announced a new task force that'll treat opioid overdoses like murder in San Francisco. That means law enforcement will employ procedures to document deaths, gather evidence, and process intelligence to map out the supply of fentanyl. The task force will also hold drug traffickers accountable. The task force is expected to be fully operational by early next year. In Toyota, they're recalling more than 750,000 Highlander SUVs, including hybrid versions, over a bumper issue. Toyota says a minor impact could cause mounting tabs to detach, causing parts to fall off, create potentially a hazard in the road. The recall includes Highlanders from the model years 2020 to 2023. Toyota says it'll notify affected owners directly by late December. In the meantime, you can search online to see if your vehicle is part of the recall.
Got some drier days ahead, but we do have rain in the next 7 days, or at least the first shot at it. I'll show you when that gets here. Warmer conditions, yeah, we have that too, maybe middle 70s. So there is some light at the end of the tunnel, but we have that wind to contend with first. Take a closer look at that, and who'll get hit the hardest in our first alert forecast.
Plus, animal shelters still overcrowded. Details of a volunteer event taking place tomorrow. And we're looking at some adorable dogs and cats in need of a home. It's our pet portion of the show. Up next. Around the North State, you've seen them on the streets, maybe had an encounter, people suffering from mental illness. Today's Reading Restart Forum focused on addressing mental health. Mike Mangus has more.
Standing room only at Mercy Oaks in Reading for the fourth in a series of quarterly forums organized by the Good News Rescue Mission. This one featured a panel of experts: Shasta County Deputy Branch Director of Mental Health Laura Stapp, Reading Rancheria Health Services Executive Director Glenn Hayward, and Dr. Thomas Andrews of North American Mental Health Services, all fielding questions from the audience. Rescue Mission Executive Director Jonathan Anderson has experienced the rise of mental health struggles firsthand at the mission, and they're getting worse.
Over the past few years in particular, we at the mission have seen a drastic rise in the number of people who are just battling severe mental illness. And so we are seeing people who are becoming a little more violent at the same time as a result. And so we're very concerned. You know, how do we really compassionately help people? One of the hot topics we're going to talk about today is Governor Newsom's bill that he just signed, SB 43, which is the care court, and just increasing the ability to conserve people who have severe mental illness and or drug abuse.
Before the Q&A session, Dana Jackson shared her story of being homeless with 2 children.
I grew up in a home that lacked connection, lacked love, and I was sexually assaulted as a child for a long period of time. So that was a long period of traumatic experiences, and it changed the way that my brain processed feelings, emotions, thoughts, everything. And so I self-medicated for a really long time, and it wasn't until I was on the streets, I became homeless after I had my 2 kids.
A possible 16-year prison sentence and getting mental health help turned her life around, and now she's hoping to become a doctor. There was talk of Senate Bill 43 at the forum to modernize and improve the state behavioral health system, and Care Court coming to Shasta County next year.
Here in Shasta County, we are formalizing a plan with our courts so that come January 1st, 2024, we are prepared to roll out the Care Court service. for those people with mental illness who are involved with our justice system.
That was Mike Mangus reporting. There will be a 5th Reading restart after the 1st of next year, and then possibly a 6th after that. Let's take a live look now at the Sundial Bridge tonight. It looks beautiful. First Alert meteorologist Brian Alton, your son liked that. I hit the Sundial Bridge there. Brian Schofield's in the Weather Center tracking these chilly, frigid Friday night conditions.
Oh,
Hi,
they
Brian.
are. I'll tell you, getting out and about. Still highly recommend heading out on the Sundial tomorrow, but it'll just be gusty at times too, so that might make it a little tough. And we'll see how it all works out. But we know we've got some wind out there. Cool now, or let's just say chilly now. So definitely looking at those temperatures staying on the cool side. If we're talking 40s and we're talking 20s there too in the overnight lows. We're already in the 20s in Chester, so unbelievable stuff there. Let me show you what's doing with the winds. Down the valley, we're thinking about the strongest winds. Look at the time frame. It might not make it all the way to the coast at first, but we are still talking about breezy to gusty conditions along the coast too. So that's why the red flag warning does get out to Humboldt County as well. So down to the south, you're seeing most of the winds continue to be squashed kind of down along with some of that haze as well. So the only real upside to that is that the haze starts to slide its way down out of the area. But in the meantime, we could see gusts you saw earlier up to 50 miles an hour, more than likely just a little bit beyond 30, but there could be some much higher spots. And certainly if they get closer to 50 and beyond, then we're talking about high wind warnings, but just a wind advisory in effect. And so there's your smoke forecast. It's actually much improved because it's also dragging in some of that wind with it. The whole idea, the concept is getting pushed through the algorithms here, and you see definitely seeing some of those really areas that had the burn and obviously a lot of that smoke pushing its way out of the way. So that's just some good news ahead there. So that I'm trying to bring an upside to it to truly get rid of some of that haze. That'll help. But still, the fire danger is there with that strong wind drying out some of those lower levels. So keep that in mind. Let's throw in a little chance for some rain. It's only a little one. It takes a while to get here. I'll tell you that. And that all the way till Thursday we have to wait. And there it is right there. So leading up to that, we actually warm things up. So once we get past all the wind and the patchy fog and the frost that you folks are going to see on the north coast, then things are much improved. The temperatures will warm up, but mostly inland you'll notice it. Let me do a little round robin here. You'll see what I'm talking about. Shelter Cove, 62, 71 in Garberville. So folks along really out through Soham and up through northern Humboldt County and Del Norte, like Crescent City at 61, we'll still see temperatures on the cool side, but inland will start to warm up, especially for early next week. Not so much for tomorrow, but better chances on the weekend, or the end of the weekend, let's say, Sunday, to see some much improved conditions. 56 Shingletown, 52 in Chester. So afternoon highs across the valley, not bad at all either. I mean, upper 60s, but how about 70s on Sunday and maybe middle 70s by Monday. That'll be certainly nice to see. And then through Chico, we'll talk about almost the 70-degree mark tomorrow, and 67 in Willows and 66 in Gridley. So nice temperatures there. Take a nice long look at our next 7 days. We're going to put in the haze for tomorrow. Maybe not as much for Sunday, just might be lighter. But you saw how the maps were working that one. So still plenty of haze today, almost too much really. Some gusty conditions continue even through Sunday. And then we start to see those 70s pop up even better, and really through Halloween too. So that's a good day to see some slightly warmer conditions. Of course, by time the sun sets, it'll be back into the 60s, certainly. And then we're looking at really the end of next week, the chance for maybe a shower or two. But that's a ways away, and in the meantime, we get all those beautiful 70s with overnight lows that come out of the 30s and get right there into the 40s. So we've got 70s for highs, 40s for lows, essentially within the realm of normal, maybe not on the dot, but either way, a lot of sunshine for early next week. And then remember, it's the latter half of the week that we see the increased chance for maybe a shower across the area, and certainly some cooler temperatures. Back to you.
Sounds like nice fall weather. Thank you, Brian. It's a problem we have been seeing all over the North State, the overcrowding of animal shelters. For the Chico Animal Shelter, their biggest hill to climb is funding for the medical side of things. KRCR spoke with the event organizer of the Walk Woof Wag fundraiser taking place tomorrow. She says the Chico shelter doesn't turn any animals away, but that only adds to their challenges.
The medical fund is to serve all of the abandoned animals, the ill animals, the ones that need to be spayed and neutered before they get adopted out. And they have to raise about $65,000 a year in order to serve all the animals in Chico. And they have about 30 volunteers. They need a lot more volunteers in order to give the highest level of care they possibly can for those animals.
Celeste says the shelter has more than 100 animals at all times on average. They are also looking to increase volunteers. Look how cute that dog was. One opportunity to do some volunteering is at the 10th annual Walk Wolf Wag event. That starts tomorrow at 9 at Chico's Lower Bidwell Park. And as we're talking about it, there's plenty of furry friends you can adopt at local shelters across the North State. For example, the Trinity County Animal Shelter has dogs and cats who need a forever home. Cue the Sarah McLaughlin music. We're starting off with a pair of adorable kittens. They actually don't have names. That's your job once you adopt them. They are very cute. The shelter says they were both found on the side of the road. We'll have more information on these cuties in a few minutes if you're interested in adopting. Up next, this is Ivory. She's a sweet gal. She ended up at the Trinity County shelter when her previous shelter became overcrowded. The Trinity shelter says she's a little shy, but she'll be your new bestie when you get to know her. She looks like she's always happy. And we got this big boy. He made himself welcome at a house in Hayfork. Wasn't very friendly to the property owner's elderly cat, so they brought him to the shelter. He might already have an owner, so if he looks familiar, you can call the shelter to get any information. And then lastly, let's meet Spencer. He's the second longest resident at the shelter. You might have met him before. He arrived in December of 2022, and he's been patiently waiting for his forever family. He looks like a good boy. Spencer loves everybody, but he's recommended to a home without cats, so he doesn't love cats. But he's great with dogs. And if you saw any of those cuties and you want to adopt, the animal shelter is open in Trinity County Tuesday through Saturday, noon to 4. You can also contact them at that number on your screen. And of course, plenty of other crowded shelters across the North State, so be sure to also check them out. We'll be right back with tonight's West Coast Scouting Report. He's alliterating.
Scouting Report is sponsored by Toyota.
Well, it's finally Friday, folks, and that means it's time for your West Coast Scouting Report. For the first time since their Game 7 playoff matchup, the Kings and Warriors faced off tonight in the 9-1-6. After Sacramento dominated the first quarter plus, Steph Curry decided that the Warriors would simply stop messing around. Curry, a certified Kings killer, came back on the court after a short breather, completely swung momentum to Golden State. They wouldn't let it go, scoring, facilitating. Curry, he was chefing it up, as he does. Steph, the leading scorer in this game, he finished with 41. The Dubs' second leading scorer, Klay Thompson, he had 18. So it was Steph Curry's game. Golden State continues their dominance over their NorCal neighbors, beating the Kings 122-114. Now from the court to the grass, there's George Bush. Game 1 of the 2023 Fall Classic was earlier tonight. It was a good one. We're going to jump right to the 9th inning. The Snakes clinging to a 5-3 lead when Corey Seager rips one to right field. That's a no-doubter. Tying the game at 5. George Bush in attendance, probably slamming some Budweisers in celebration, if I know George W. like I think I do. Look at that. Just a great fluid swing by Corey Seager. Huge pickup for the Rangers. But that wasn't even the biggest homer of the night for Texas. In extras, this one went to 11 innings. Adolis Garcia, El Bombi, which means the bomb, lasers one to right field. Ball game. Rangers storm back in fashion, take Game 1 of the World Series 6-5. It was a good one. Stick around, folks. We'll be right back. Before we leave you on this Friday night, let's get one more check of the weather with our man, Brian Schofield.
I'll tell you, got some wind coming in, a lot of wind coming in for tomorrow and maybe a little bit of Sunday too. Upper 60s will soon turn into the 70s, but our fire danger is tomorrow because of the wind and the drier conditions, and maybe next week we'll be able to pull out a shower. All right, back to you.
As long as it doesn't shower on Halloween. Otherwise, and it won't. And it won't. Good.
No,
see, that was a question. That was actually a question.
Oh, is that a question? Okay.
Yes.
There's
No.
your answer. It'll be
It was a
great.
question phrased as a statement because I didn't realize.
Better on Tuesday than this weekend. There you go.
Beautiful. Thank you for watching. It's later, dudes. Have a good weekend.